Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Rich Wonders. I'm out here in Tempe, Arizona, right by Phoenix, little college town here. But I live here with my wife and my four kids. And I'll give you just like a little quick background for those of you that don't know me. I'll show you what I looked like in my first day of real estate. Okay, so my first day in real estate was 2019, it's January 28th. Before that, I was selling Kirby vacuums door to door for 9 years. Yeah, I've been through a lot. You know what I mean? I've been through a lot. And here, look, this is my first day on real estate, right? So peep it out. My wife took a picture of me. It was like the first day of school. I was trying to look non-threatening. I still had tattoos at the time, but I wasn't as covered as I am now. Now I can't even hide it if I want to. But yeah, I had a lot of hopes and dreams. I quit my Kirby job. My boss basically gave me the middle finger on the way out because he was mad that I quit. We had worked together a long time, made a lot of money together, right? Him more so than me. But he basically told me I was going to fail. I didn't know what the real world was like. And don't come begging back for my job when it didn't work out, right? So here I was. I had my lady. She had a baby on the way. We had a 3 and a 5-year-old at home already. And I'd like
Something wrong with it.
long story short, like my back was against the wall, but I worked for a guy, learned a whole bunch of stuff over the first 2 years, went on my own for 9 months, failed, went back, worked for someone else, learned about novations. The sales stuff I always was really good at, right? I had really good training and it was just kind of, I had a natural thing for it. My dad was kind of the same way. But there was a lot of things I didn't know what I didn't know. And, being good at sales is just one aspect of being good at this business, right? There's a whole bunch of other things that go into it, right? But Novations really changed the game for me. And I'm just going to give you guys, I'm trying to pack as much value into this as I can. I'm going to give you an overview on them, show you some case studies, kind of give you a framework on how we do them, and they'll open up for questions at the end too. And if you guys have questions too, you can put your little yellow Zoom hands up or whatever too. It's cool. And we'll just take them as they come. So, Novations, right? The way I'm talking about them is selling your deals on the MLS to non-investors or to anybody, right? People with loans, cash investors, whole 9 yards. Okay, so for those of us that are wholesaling, right? What do we got to do? We need leads. We need people that may want to sell their house, and particularly ones that want to sell at a discount and are willing to trade convenience for price, right? So we're doing all these different things, right? If you're starting out, you don't have a lot of resources, you're probably cold calling, right? Direct mail is another great option. You're going to be sending out tons of postcards, mail pieces. All these different channels work with enough activity and enough consistency. You've got online ads where you're trading stacks of cash for potential leads, right? So we're spending this money, we're spending this time, all this energy, and this is what we're looking for normally, right? A messed up house with a seller that has problems to solve, that are looking for a quick and easy solution. Okay, so normally seller's motivated, they got problems that need to be solved, the house is messed up, there's room for someone to come in and spend money and make it more valuable, and then the seller has to take a big enough discount for us to make money and the investor to make money, right? So normally the buyer is going to be an investor, they're going to pay cash as is, they can close quick. So they don't ask a lot of questions, but they're paying, big discount. It's normally either a flipper or a landlord. Okay, so we'll call this the spectrum of condition. So these are all the different types of houses. You got fully remodeled mansion on the right side. You have something that if you sneeze too hard, it'll fall over on the left, complete tear down. And then normally in this bottom third is where most of our wholesale deals live, right? Sometimes you'll get some a little bit nicer. You'll get lucky, you'll fall into the right situation. But most of these are either livable but dated, or they're gross, or there's serious health and safety issues in them. Now, with this strategy I'm going to show you, this is what it can do. Okay, you can now monetize properties that are livable, but it's the seller's motivated. The property may not be messed up. The seller's situation is messed up. That's why they're going after this. Higher price point houses too. We do stuff over $1 million. And normally those types of deals are hard to wholesale just because if it needs a full rehab, you have to get a really big discount because big expensive houses are expensive to fix up. houses in smaller towns too. We do tons of deals in small towns where normally finding investors is very difficult. And then we can now sell to buyers using loans. So this opens up, instead of just cash only investor buyers, it's literally anybody. So the word novation means to replace one contract with another. Okay, so it's a blanket term. It doesn't necessarily mean put a house on the MLS. It's like the word wholesale. It means a general term. But with this strategy, again, sell your deals to retail buyers using loans. You can list them on the MLS. So the buyers come to you and your agent. You don't have to make a million calls and do all. Now, when I say you don't have to do these things in wholesaling, don't get me wrong. Wholesaling, there's pluses and minuses to both of these things, right? But you do have the buyers coming to you. And why would you want to do this? Because you can do deals on properties that normally you couldn't do anything with if you're just wholesaling off market. You can get some big spreads too, because there's not a lot of people that can help these people in these situations. So there's not a lot of competition. And if you can solve a unique problem, generally that's valuable, right? So you'll see on some of the case studies, you can get some big reps on these. And then the process is transparent. Now, the process for everything should always be transparent, but the way we do this, it's especially important that they know what's going on. Because obviously, if you're selling someone's house on the MLS and they don't know what's going on, that's like a setup for a bad situation, right? That's when people feel like they've been wronged, right? When you say you're going to do one thing and then you really do something else. So we're completely transparent. This deal was in Oklahoma. And I'll go through these kind of quick because I want to get just to the nitty gritty of how we do things. But this is actually a bigger city in Oklahoma. I want to say this might be like 40, 50,000 people, which is big for us. This one we ended up making 40,000 on, and this one closed, I guess, in March. I did this for a presentation that I did not too long ago. This one we spent just under $5,000 on. So this one, I think we had to clean out a bunch of stuff. They had a bunch of like personal property in there. And generally, like when we spend money, it is on things like helping the sellers move out, clearing the house out. It's like cleanup. Like we don't like make the kitchen cute or anything. Like we clean out like trash and help them move and get them a deposit for their apartment or wherever they're going. Right. So normally it's like clearing stuff out, doing like the obvious things that have to be done anyways. So this one we spent $5,000. So we ended up out of the 39,000, we netted like 34. And our JV partner made like 16 grand on this one, just for sending us the lead. This one is in Hampton, Virginia. This one we ended up making 49,000. This is a deal we couldn't have sold off market. There just wasn't cash buyers for it. It was like a livable but dated. This one right here, oh yeah, this was a weird one. A lot of them are weird. Inherited property. It was a hoarder house. There were squatters at one point. There was a solar loan and a foreclosure pending. So like a little something for everybody, right? In terms of bad problems. This one, we spent $5,600 cleaning it out. Took care of all the other stuff. We ended up making 72 grand on this. So our JV partner got 31 grand just for sending us the deal. And then this one, oh, okay. So this one came in for the house, but they owed too much on the house for us to be able to work a deal. But she's, oh, hey, by the way, I've got these 2 empty lots just adjacent to the house. Is there anything you can do with those? And we looked at it and we're like, oh, yeah, it's in Bradenton, Florida. So we got both the lots under contract for 50,000. And there was a developer that was building just like a couple lots down. And he went and knocked on the people's door after we already had it under contract. And he talked to her. I guess he found out what we had it under contract for. And then he offered her 55,000. And she's like, no, I already made a deal with these guys. Sorry, not going to do it. So she told us, we got in contact with him. And he's like, look, I'm the only one that builds in. These lots suck because of X, Y, and Z, the zoning, the this, the that. And he's like, look, if you don't take this 55,000, you're a complete idiot. And I'm just going to laugh, whatever. He told us off. Basically, we're like, okay, cool. So we hired an agent and then we sold it for 150,000. We originally thought we were going to get more for it, but we ended up making 89 grand altogether, right? After the agents got paid off of these 2 lots. And this one, I ended up actually double closing because it was a cash deal. I put up the 50,000 and then the same day we closed with the other person's money, just because we were making 89,000 on a $150,000 purchase. But yeah, and our guy that sent this in made 35 grand off off 2 lots that he didn't even send in. He sent us the house didn't work. We found the lots. Bada bing, bada boom, 35 grand later. So that's the beauty of this is it unlocks like a lot of opportunities. And it's funny because things will like spontaneously go right with these deals, like how it happened with the lots, but things are also always going like spontaneously wrong too. So I'll tell you, it's like wholesale on like hard mode. And it's like an extended time frame. You have to keep them happy the whole time. They're going to see exactly what you're going to make. And like with my guys, like I give the analogy of it's like trying to take like a group of kindergartners through a dangerous jungle and keep everybody near you and make sure everybody's safe. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to keep them close, but you got to keep them happy and you got to be nice. And you got to make sure they don't wander off and have like a tiger get them or they fall off the edge of a cliff. You just got to keep them close and just be that rock for it. But it also is incredibly rewarding. It's awesome when things go right. Like when you have multiple deals going, things are always going wrong all the time. Like you just become just a weathered, leather-skinned old man like me one day, and nothing gets you riled up anymore. But it is an adjustment. But let me cut down to the brass tacks, okay? So there's 3 parts in actually getting paid on these. And I like to affectionately refer to it as the 3 mountains that you have to climb. Okay, so the first mountain you have to climb is getting the deal under contract. Okay, now in wholesale, that's the biggest mountain. And once you climb that mountain, you're like more than halfway there. Because when you have a good deal, it's normally fairly easy to sell it and fairly quick in that process. With this, getting the deal under the contract, that's just like the, shall we say, the entrance ticket to the actual like battle royale. Like to the gladiator match where you fight the lion, the tiger, and the bear, and then at the end you get paid, right? But it's important, right? If we don't get them under contract, obviously there's no deals to be had. With these deals, we do a soft touch approach. And the reason why is you're about to be riding in the car with this seller for 2 months if everything goes right. So you don't want to get into a fist fight with them over the price and everything. You need like a low friction process because they need to trust you. So discovery phase, we try to get as much information about the house, the seller, their situation. We want to understand them, the house, and everything going on as best as possible. So the more they can open up to us, the better. And even if you're setting these deals up for someone like us, the better you can understand them, the stronger position you are in to actually help them. Because normally on these deals, the people that this is actually a win-win for, they're in some sort of personal turmoil or trouble or chaos. There's some personal conflict, whether it be health, financial, relationship, any of those normal categories that people get into a pickle about. There's normally that going on. So it's really important to understand the moving parts of those so we can give like a solution that's actually going to help them, right? Because that's why they sell it to us at a discount, is to get their problem solved. So you got to understand them as good as possible. And we don't do any price negotiation in the beginning. And if you guys send in deals to us, like you don't have to do any price negotiation. You just want to understand them as good as possible. The motivation's the number one thing. People ask what kind of deals are good for Novation? Deals with motivated sellers. If the seller's motivated, most important thing, that will overcome bad location, bad condition. As long as the mortgage is low enough where the deal makes financial sense, yeah, that other stuff doesn't matter, right? So we got to understand them. Then the anchor phase is phase 2 of the part 1, right? So we learn all about them. Now we have to reconcile their expectations with the reality of what a real cash offer would look like. Because they're saying, hey, Mr. Investor, I want a cash offer, okay? Give me money. Don't ask me very many questions. Here's this house and you deal with it. So we have to show them what that actually looks like. And we basically will show them low cash recent sales in the area. And then their job is to say, hey, but Mr. Investor, my house is way nicer than that. And then we say, hey, I totally understand. I'm just showing you the type of houses that investors are buying and how much they're paying for them. And then it's basically their job to try to argue up. They're going to try to get you to give them an appraisal like a realtor, right? They're like, what's my house worth on the market? But we change the conversation to this is what investors are buying. And once they have a realistic expectation, they start understanding that maybe a cash offer is not the best fit for them. And if we can get through them logically, they'll see that their house is too nice for a cash offer. Then finally, we got the delivery phase, which is the secret sauce. But the delivery phase, basically, we do give them a cash offer, but it's not one we're trying to close them on or sell them on. It's basically we go to, hey, Mr. Seller, look, I was able to get a cash offer approved. However, based on our conversation, I don't think it's probably going to be a fit for a win-win. We would be able to buy it cash with us being the final buyer, but I'd have to be at $237,000. I know that's probably not going to work for you. Like, my cash offer is an offer that if they say yes, I'll buy their house at that price. It's one where it's like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? I'll either buy it with my money, I'll get a hard money loan, we'll close on it. It's a deal that we can't lose on. So they almost never say yes to the cash offer. Then we pitch them the concierge service, basically explain that they qualified for this. We're going to sell to a third party. It's hands-off, white glove experience where we do all the work. They can sit back and collect the check. Then I run them through the entire paperwork where they hear about all the inner workings of the process. And then bada bing, bada boom, they sign on the dotted line. We set expectations on what to expect next. We're gonna have to bring some people in to look at the property. We're gonna figure out what our strategy is if we have to do any minor work. We got to figure out what the moving parts are with how they get to their next place. We kind of line up all our ducks in a row. Okay, so that's the first mountain. Now, it's an important mountain, but that's actually the easiest part. Getting under contract overall is the easiest part. Most of you guys on this call, you guys have already been getting deals under contract. You know too, like, you got a motivated seller, you go through your process, you're going to get deals. You know, the better you get, the harder deals you get. But this part is where the game actually starts, right? So now we got this contract. Yeah, we got to find a buyer. And the way we do that is we call all the agents that have recently sold in the area, right? So the person that is likely good at selling houses like mine is someone that just sold one like mine. You know what I mean? So it's like the logical place to start. Let's call everyone that sold in that neighborhood. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to find the top agent in the city. Well, it's like, hey, top agent in the city may not be the best person to sell your house. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times the top agents, they have big teams too. So they're getting numbers from all these other different people that are selling properties for them. You know what I mean? But we call the ones that sold recently. And basically we evaluate the agent. So we get the agent to sell us on, how they market properties. We get all the information about the one they recently sold. We give them a task to give all the info about the property and see what they think it would need to be priced at to sell quickly. So we're gathering all this information from all these different agents. And now after we talk to 4 or 5 agents, we got a pretty good lay of the land. You know what I mean? And normally there'll be 2 agents that are like, ooh, really good. And then normally there'll be like one like standout person. And getting good at communicating with the agents and having them see you as high value and working with really good people simplifies the back end like a ton. Like, the better agent you can get involved and get them aligned with your mission makes a huge difference. Some people talk about using flat fee listings. That's the way I was taught originally. Highly discourage it. Working with a local agent, you can do way more deals. They'll save you tons of money in the long run by making better decisions. You can leverage their network. They do tons of work for you and they only get paid when the deal closes. There's a million reasons why, but we only use local agents. We don't use any flat fee brokers. But yeah, we keep it simple with them. We're looking for people that have a sense of urgency. They communicate well. They know what they're doing. They're competent and they cooperate. You know what I mean? They're on a mission. You don't want an uncooperative agent. It's not fun. So yeah, finding really good agents is a big part of that second mountain. That 3, we got it under contract. We got the agent. We got it listed on the market. We did the walkthroughs. We got offers. We found an offer that we can accept, right? Now we got to get paid. All right. So we got the seller, we got the agent, we got the buyer. Now we got to get to the money, get this thing closed. We have the seller sign the buyer's offer. Okay. With the only exception on if it's like a cash offer, but if they're using a loan, we have the seller sign the buyer's offer. But Rich, aren't they going to see how much you're making? Yes, they will. So make sure they're happy. Make sure you did everything you said. There's a way to bring it to them too. You know what I mean? That minimizes any friction. But basically, every step of the process, we have engineered a way that makes it like the lowest friction way. But this is good because some banks, if you try to sign with a power of attorney, the lenders don't like it sometimes. The buyer's agent, it creates friction with. The title company doesn't like that. It's a bit of a liability, in my opinion, of having a bunch of sales contracts that you signed as a power of attorney where you're making all this money on. It's a little messy. If you have them sign it, your hands are clean. You know what I mean? They literally signed the offer. There's no hanky panky. They know exactly what was going on. You can file a notice of interest, but we normally don't. You've got the inspection period. So like you're going through all the normal things of a regular traditional purchase. So they send out an inspector. They'll give you like a report back where you'll use your agent to kind of negotiate back and forth and see what things are they asking for that are reasonable, what things are unreasonable, what can we do credits for, what do we have to fix. So the agent really helps navigate with that too, especially when you have a good one. They know what the things are that are deal breakers and what's not. But you get through that process, then you have the appraisal, and then assuming everything went well and that all worked out, then you get the preliminary settlement statement. And this is where we find out how much money we made, basically. So we calculate our invoice, we turn it into the title company. It's basically the difference between the two prices minus realtor commissions and all the things that we're responsible for. So we submit that invoice, says there was a lien that we release it. The seller signs the final closing docs. We get paid through escrow as like a payoff, like a line item payoff, like a lien release or like a contractor's invoice. And then the deal's done. And the buyer gets the new house, and the buyer's agent and the buyer never really even knew you're. Is this my last slide? I don't think it is. Okay, cool. Sweet. So that's the long and short of novations, right? It's like wholesaling with like extra fun stuff with it.
Appreciate that, man. So much freaking value like stuffed in there. And it's cool because I was doing some novations before we met. And then after we talked, I was like, damn, I've actually been doing these a little wonky. I could do a lot better. So that's pretty cool. But what questions I'll just call on people. That way everybody's not like jumping in at once. Matt, do you have any questions?
Yes, I've actually got just an opinion on a house I'm looking at right now. They got back to me this morning that they owe 257,000 on it. It's probably worth 290 cleaned up the way it is. After repairs, it's high 300, like 380. Is there anything that like are those numbers too tight? Is there anything I could do with that? How would you approach that?
You said
They're
they
getting
owe how
divorced.
much? 250?
Yeah, they owe 257 and some change. They're getting divorced. They both still live in the property. So having to pay them to move on would probably be in the cards there.
Okay, so they'll probably need like maybe 5 grand each, like
Yeah,
minimum
that's what I was
of
thinking.
that. That would make it tough for us to do
Okay.
innovation the way we normally do it. So here's just like our rough numbers. If the house is worth, we'll call it 300 just to make it even.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? You do our calculations for max allowable offer is 90% of current condition value. So in this example, 300, right? And current condition value is what we think it'll sell for quickly on the market without really doing anything to it. So it'd be minus 30 grand. So that would bring us from 300 to 270 times the 90%, and then minus a minimum of 30 grand. The 30 grand calculates our minimum profit. So
Okay.
it would sell for 300, like our max allowable offer would be like 240 normally. So now, is there a rate in there? There's probably like for someone more sophisticated than me, maybe sub to it and then fix it up and then sell it on the market. But like me personally, like I consider myself like a hammer looking for nails. So the type of deals that I like to do is I like to do deals where I can spend less than $5,000, make more than $30,000, and there's as few moving parts as possible. Now, how many hoops am I willing to jump through? That is in direct proportion to how much upside there is. So like right now, I got a deal in Oregon where the lady was going to lose her house. She had a house in Oregon that's right by the beach. It's a mobile home, fixed up. It's worth probably about She owed like 180 and she had a reverse mortgage on it and she was $12,000 behind in taxes. And if she didn't pay it by Tuesday, they were going to take her house and she's going to be out on the streets like she's in her 70s. Screwed, literally cooked. And it was a non-real estate buddy that sent me this lead. He was a life insurance guy and he just sold her life insurance. So on that one, I stepped in, I paid the 12, I sent realtors out there, I paid the 12 grand, I gave her 8 grand to handle moving expenses. I'm giving her 15 grand on the back end. All in, I'm in it for 230. I'm probably going to spend maybe another 10 grand fixing it up. So altogether, I'll be in it for 30 grand and then plus 15 on the back end. But it's like over a 6-figure spread. Once I do this,
Right.
where it's worth over 400. Now that's an outlier and it's got to be like a no-brainer. It's got to be like a perfect storm where it's like, literally, dude, if I don't pay this 12 grand, she's losing her house. So I got to make the decision. You know what I mean? But I don't look at something where I'm like, if we do a backsplash and some wallpaper, and I think it would give it a good vibe in there. And it might sell nothing like that. It's like, move the trash out, get the maybe replace flooring. Oh, there's dog poop all over the carpet. All right. Yeah, let's get rid of that. You know what I mean? It is messing the vibe up a little bit. Like stuff like that. But even like carpet and flooring, like it's got to be something where there's a big upside. The realtor's going to help me do it. So I just have to spend money. I don't have to go on like a treasure hunt, like a scavenger hunt, try to get all this done. Like if the time to money ratio is there, like I'll do it. You know what I mean? But that's why like a lot of people too, if you're doing these deals like plan, it's not like wholesale where you can do a bunch of these without ever having to spend money. Now you can get creative and not have to spend much money and not have to only do the ones where you don't have to spend money. But on a lot of these you do, you know what I mean? That's part of the thing. That's part of your leverage where you can sweeten the pot. Because if they don't have money to move and they need to move, all of a sudden that $2,500 becomes very valuable. You know what I mean? And like for investors, for us, we're like, oh, dang, dude, I spend that on marketing or I spend that on whatever. You know what I mean? Hey, would you spend $2,500 to make 30,000? Heck yeah. You know what I mean? All of us would. But that's the beauty of this is most wholesalers won't. So that's how I can get a lot of those deals too, that everybody's trying to get in and they're not trying to break any sort of bread. I can just break a little bit of bread and it puts me to the front of the line and it shows them I'm serious too. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's lots of ways to leverage it. But I would say if like you're brand new, you're probably better off outsourcing them. And if you're seasoned, you're like, ooh, I got some money to play around with. I don't mind climbing these 3 mountains. I'm cool. I've got experience and everything. I would say if you're going to go in on them, I would really don't do it casually, like really like dive in and try to be like a master of the game. Cause it's like flipping houses. I've never fixed and flipped houses. Right. And someone that's done it, dude, it's not that hard. But like for me, I wouldn't want to fix and flip like one house. Like I'm either saying, okay, I'm going to be a fix and flipper and this is going to be a new part of my business. I'm going to start running these, or I'm just going to wholesale and I'm going to help people move out. Like, honestly, that's like my lane. Like I don't want to fix and flip, but everybody's risk tolerance and gifts are all different.
My thought process was
Yeah.
just to try to do a sub 2 and then clean it out. Take the flooring out, take the carpets out, just bare concrete, and then sell it. I don't know if
that could work.
Margins are tight though.
Specific details for that particular deal. Me personally, I probably would not, because just the whole, and that's just my risk tolerance. The whole thing of having to close on it. Now I own it. I'm going through title work on it. To me, it's just too much where it's like, okay, I can make $89,000 on these 2 lots over here, or I can clean out this house and do all these things. It's like, I'm more looking for the easy ones. So
Gotcha.
there's probably a play in there, but I try to stay away from the stuff that's too many steps.
I think Matt had texted that question, and
Yeah,
I wasn't very elaborative, but I said, he said, how do I approach these sellers? And I said, you don't. And then I just kept going. But
yeah,
that's funny. And this is a cool group for this conversation because we do wholesales like the same way. We view them the same way. It's like we don't do anything hardly. And if you do, crap happens and you end up spending some money sometimes, part of it. But like stuff that I buy, I don't do anything. I buy it and I resell it. Same thing. And if I could do a novation instead of buying, I'm doing that. You know, it's like, hey, we don't want to market it, cool, I'll buy it kind of deal.
Right.
Todd, what you got, man? Mayor of Detroit right here.
Nice.
Just a couple quick questions. Like, I know you said 90% is what you figure. So that 10%, is that for the realtor fees and things like that kind of a?
Yep. Realtor
Okay.
fee, closing costs, little miscellaneous things that'll come off in the inspection and all that.
Gotcha. And then, I wholesale, hotel, novations, it just seems like a little much for me, but heard you saying people, we could work with you, we send you deals. How does that look like?
Yep. The easiest way to keep tabs on me is Instagram. It's Novation King. I'll put in the chat. But also put in the chat novationjv.com. So novationjv.com. That's our submission site.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, on my Instagram, I pretty much just talk about real estate stuff. So if you follow me on there, you'll keep tabs on what's going on with novations and all that. But on our site, you get 40% just for connecting us with the seller. So you don't have to
Nice.
tell them about novation, don't tell them about us. We'll negotiate it, we lock it up. We climb the 3 mountains for you. And at the end, we're like, hey, by the way, you got $16,000 coming to you today or whatever it is.
Shit, you can't beat that, huh?
Yeah, we try to set it up so that people use this as like the easy button. We give a healthy chunk. So, hey, you don't have to feel bad about doing multiple deals with it. He's like, dude, it's pretty much half and they're doing all the work. Why not? Why not? So
I think it's a good option if you're just wholesaling like you are, Todd, wholesaling and buying. Like, it's a good option for those types. Like you said, Rich, like you gotta be, I don't say it, but you do kind of have to be all in to be successful at it. Like we cherry pick novations when they happen, but I think JB is freaking smart. Just like, hey, this will work. Send it to somebody that's what they do.
sure. Or you run out of bandwidth. You got a lot of deals jamming. You're like, dude, I already have a couple of my own novations. I got some fix and flips. I don't want anything to slip through the cracks. Let's pawn it off to Rich and the gang.
Yeah.